Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to On the Front Lines. In today's conversation, we have Nithin Kamath, founder CEO of Zerodha. Before we kick it off, just a few housekeeping notes. The conversation is being live streamed on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. So please feel free to share questions on any of those platforms, and our team will direct them to us, and we'll pose them. Uh, let's go, Rishabh.
Welcome, Nithin. Thank you so much for joining us on the front lines.
Hey, cheers. Thanks for having me, Rishabh.
Right. So, Nithin, you've been a trader for as long as you can remember. You've been in the stockbroking business. So, you know enough about making money and sometimes even losing money.
Right.
But what has been your philosophy about giving money?
Right. So even as a trader, right? So I kind of went bust twice. So the last time I went bust was back in 2001, 2002, and I joined a call center, worked for like 3-4 years, and I used to trade during the nights. I was trade during the days, and I used to work during the nights. I think one of the biggest learning lessons for me, like which kind of which came after losing a lot of money was this whole you can't really chase money. As in money is is not if you chase money, the more you chase, the further away it goes away. So especially in trading, right? It's in your face. Trading results are binary. You either make money or lose money, right? So there's no in between, right? Uh, so my personal trading itself started changing when I stopped focusing on money and actually started focusing on the rest, on doing things right. And so I've been generally trending up in terms of my career from the day I started making the decision. Of course, there was a rupee goal in all of this, and that rupee goal got met sometime back. I don't want to say like I'm one of those guys who doesn't spend money. I like spending money. I good watches, I good cars, I do all of that, right? But the thing is, what I realized during this journey was once I got all of this, it just felt meaningless. There's always a better car, there's always a better watch, and to be very honest, the last 2-3 months, all those material things are of no use. Right? You can't really do anything much out of it. So for me, I think the journey was that I had a rupee goal in my mind. I reached the rupee goal. I went and bought the bunch of things that I thought will give me happiness, and whereas I was happy with it, but it just still felt like there's something missing, right? And even if you look at us as a business, right, one of the reasons for the success of the business has been because we have never chased revenues as a business. We've said no to I don't know how many checks. We're still a bootstrap business. When we started the business, there was no option but to bootstrap it. But over the last 2-3 years, we've got really big checks which we have said no to. And the only reason for that was because we wanted to run this business, do things that you like to do the way we want to do, right? So in this journey, we kind of realized that now that we are on the other side of this, of making money, we need to find ways to help others, also see some of this money and money, or find ways to give them ways to earn a living. So we, as a business, we have a really big partner network. So we have almost like 800 partners who give us business and share some revenue with us. We probably have the largest referral system in the stockbroking industry. So like a lot of the small retail customers who introduce new customers to us, and we share revenues with them. So we've been trying to enable people to kind of make money through the business in some form. And then without I think 2.5 years back, we started this trust called Zerodha Cares, and we started allocating some of the money that we were making as a business towards giving away. And one of the causes that's been really close to the heart, and that's actually come from Kailash, who's our CTO, right? So has been around climate change. This cause, though, I think now has taken a backseat over the last, there's a pre-corona world and there's a post-corona world, right? So but then that's a journey. That's how it's progressed. And once this whole Corona incident happened, and we realized the kind of damage this virus is going to do to the to humanity, we thought we need to step up and do more than what is really required of business. What we would otherwise do. So that's how we ended up allocating a big chunk of our revenues for this year. Uh, Saying that we're going to go out and use it to support our people.
So you've divided this in two parts. One is ensuring that the ecosystem that you work with is able to not just survive but thrive. That's been one part of your enablement. And
Right.
the other part of the enablement is more recent, where you've started thinking about climate change
Right.
and creating a separate trust. I want to focus first on the sort of this part where you're saying that you want your ecosystem to thrive. How is it central to your, let's say, philanthropic thinking, or you're thinking of giving?
Yeah. No, I mean, the thing is, as we are growing, see, one of the problems with online businesses like us, right? We are very efficient. And for every job, for example, every job that gets created in a business like us, I know that 10 jobs in a competing, non-efficient, traditional way of broking, right? Jobs are getting lost there, right? So now, how do you, there's a moral problem, right? As in, like, there's good for the business, we do well, but then what really happens to those 10 guys who are losing their jobs, right? As in, who creates employment for them? And I think that problem is only going to get bigger in India, right? As in when, like, even this whole work from home episode has just probably shown up how many inefficient processes can be taken out. How automation can take away so many jobs, right? As in, even within our business, we've seen that some of the processes that the changes we have made can potentially lead to a lot of job losses, right? So I think for us, personally for me, it's like I hold myself accountable for somehow hold accountable for these job losses that are probably being created somehow indirectly by us, right? And in my head, I'm like, every job loss, we need to be able to create an opportunity somewhere else, right? And one of the ways that I've been looking at it has been through our partner network, this whole franchisee network. So we allow people to introduce business to us and get a share of commission. Um, so which we don't really need to do, to be very honest. Like, as an online business, we don't really need to have the partner kind of business that we have, but we still run it because so there are 1,200 people at Zerodha. There are probably another 1,500 people working through our partners and through our referral. They're making some money off us. So uh, I don't know if it's really philanthropic. It also helps us grow our business, but in a way, it also is helping create employment. That's essentially how we are looking at it.
So it's essentially helping you become an organization that's sustainable in some form, and keeping the balance, so to say, within the ecosystem for you.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, Nithin, a quick question just to zoom out. Trading is so much about psychology and mindset, right?
Right.
How are you thinking about this culture of giving or philanthropy at Zerodha?
Right.
You're a successful mid-cap company, so to say. Most people tend to think about giving later on, right, in their careers when they've accrued wealth.
Right.
So why does it matter to you personally and perhaps the company at this point in time, right, to give?
Right. See, the thing is, firstly, we've been extremely lucky as a business. So we are quite a profitable company. We're probably one of the most profitable retail brokerage firms in India today. And we've been lucky to kind of get to this point in our lives quite early. So technically, you can compare us to one of the larger, companies in the. So it's not that we're not making money and we're still. And I don't want to be claiming that. Right? So we are significantly profitable and we have decent sized revenues. Right? Now this whole culture of giving is not really today's. We've generally been doing this for the last 6-7 years. But at a much smaller scale. And as we've grown, we've just scaled that up. Right? And today the whole objective of giving the thing is, like, let me tell you about the climate change thing that we guys have been working on, right? So this whole project has evolved. The plan was, so we have selected this 100-acre property, somewhere near Bangalore, and the plan was to grow a forest, right? Now, uh, grow forest using Miyawaki methods, have some fruit bearing trees. So make it like a revenue yielding forest. And secondly, see if you can somehow rate the carbon credits generated by the forest, right? Now, one of the idea was, can you turn this carbon credit into like a security which can be sold to our customers? So can you leverage our retail customer? Can you get customers to start investing into, see, carbon credits are popular around the world. It's not been popular in India, right? So we were thinking, we have the largest pool of retail investors in the country, and these people who invest in the markets are typically top 1-2% of the population, right? And this population understands climate change much better than the rest. So we were the plan. I mean, we're still working on it. I mean, it just got held down because of the lockdown and all of that. But the plan is in the next 6 months, 1 year, start this project and kind of leverage our core competencies, which is being able to broker securities to retail customers, and see if carbon credit can be turned into kind of an asset, right? And once you've built this piece, can you replicate it really quickly, right? Can you go to uh, 20 other large land bank owners and tell them that you can turn this land bank of yours into some form of revenue, and also help the climate and all of that. Uh, so that's how, that's probably really, really close to my heart as well, because it kind of involves, uh, it's going to create employment for sure, right? If you have, and it creates employment outside the city, right? As in, I think today's world, we need to find ways to create employment outside the city, and low skill jobs as such, right? As in, uh, so it does that. It helps in climate change, and it probably also involves the population, the overall population. Uh, if I own carbon credits, right, somehow maybe instinctively I will get better at something. No, I'll probably turn off the switch faster, knowing that I'm supporting climate change, right? As in, so maybe some behavioral change will happen if if we get people to own some carbon credits. I mean, long shot, but that's one of the causes, one of those initiatives that I'm extremely passionate about, and we are working on it. Uh, yeah, so that's how we were
It
working.
seems like you spent quite some time thinking about the philosophies you want to sort of implement in this 100-acre plot, and
Right.
clearly it's been in the works for a while.
Right.
And like you said, there was the pre-corona world, and then there is the post-corona world.
Right.
Um, Corona has happened, and one of the most enduring images of this Corona situation has been um, the amount of migrant labor walking back to their homes. Suddenly, middle class India and upper class India has realized who its real workforce is. In fact, P. Sainath, who's India's foremost rural journalist, said that it's not the brilliant Bangalore boys who are the India's workforce.
Right.
It's a comment on all of us. Um, how did Zerodha react to this?
Right.
What was your personal realization to this, and what was Zerodha's realization to this situation?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's uh, just not migrant workers. I mean, I think it's just the job losses all around you, right? As in, I think uh, I so now one of my friends is founders to one of the large companies, one of the large startups, and they had to just let go of some 600, 700 people. And I actually think migrant workers are more prepared for a tough life than than people who have been generally been okay, right? Because um, migrant workers have had a tough life. So I mean, it's getting tougher. It's extremely sorry, but people who come with like a lower middle class background, and who suddenly don't have a job and they have a family to take care of. They have a EMI on a credit card. they can't default, they can't just run away. So I think the problem is there as well, right? As in, I think yes, in scale wise, migrant worker scale problem is much bigger. So we, me and Kailash, we've been debating about this for a while, saying what can we do to make a difference. My younger brother has been going out, and we've been giving away like 15-20,000 meals every day, and we're giving away ration kits. We realize meals maybe. So we started with meals, saying we'll try. Everyone's hungry, so we need to give them meals. But then you realize meals kind of people. I don't know. It's very tough because it has a life to it, right? As in, if someone you prepare a lunch and you don't distribute it in say 4-5 hours, it's kind of goes waste, right? So what we did was we started doing ration kits. So we have given away tens of thousands of these kits. But then I think the realization, the more we've seen this, the more we did, we realized that the best way is to just do cash transfer, right? Just give people money, and I think that's the best you can do, and because people will go take what they want. I mean, you don't decide what to give them, right? As in, like the ration kit has, I mean, the kit that we give has a bathing soap, or like all of these things which you don't even know if they really want it or not. And so I think there's just doing cash transfer is the realization is that the only problem is executing it is still quite tough, right? As in, how do you decide whom to give?
So Kailash, I'm sorry. So Nithin, I'm going to just interrupt you right now and ask you this question. In India, giving food is possibly the thing that comes easiest to us.
Right.
Right? We do it in temples, we do it for poor people, and it's also an inherent response to a country that's faced hunger at different points in time. Our elders and our forefathers have faced it. Cash is a matter of great trust.
Right.
Giving your money, especially, and this question is posited to you because, again, you're a trader, so you know money in a very different form.
Right.
Letting go of money in the form of cash is difficult. How did you overcome the trust barrier?
No, I mean, not just money. The shift from giving away meals to giving away ration kit, there is a trust barrier there too, right? Because giving away meals, you don't think someone can misuse you, right? As in, because meals have a shelf life, and you know that no one's gonna play around with the meal. But as soon as it became a ration kit, now you're like, what if this guy takes this kit and sells it to someone else, right? Or what if this person who's taking it is talking it up, right? So the trust factor starts playing there as well, right? As in, even if the thing is with cash transfer, we're just experimenting right now, right? Because I don't think we really have a solution on how to do this at scale. So we are giving away cash through bunch of NGOs, and we are trying to see some results out of it. Saying how is it helping them? Is it helping them better than giving them ration kits, etc., etc. So we will probably have an answer to this in a few months, right? But personally, I know that it has to be cash, because you can't be deciding what you will give to them, because people have different kind of needs. Someone might want that cash to take a train ticket back home, right? As in, you can't do anything with a ration kit at that point of time. So so we are right now in our last 2-3 months. We've experimented like in a bunch of places, giving away between 2,000 to 5,000 rupees per person per month, and yeah, we need to see how it goes. I think like with my heart, I know that this not to for this thing to work at scale, government has to involve somewhere, right? As in, it's tough for people like you, me, and etc. to make a material difference here. So, and then I think there it's very political, of sorts, right?
So before getting into there are certain philosophical underpinnings to it. I do want to get a sense of how have you experimented? What are the 2 or 3 different experiments that you've tried? What were the failure points for you, and what were the motivating factors for you to continue?
Correct. No, I mean, see, the thing is, there is until now we haven't really. There's, I mean, we don't really know the results of it yet. I mean, this is the post-corona what we've started, right? And so I think the results we will get to know in time. So I am a Konkani, so I'm a Kamath. So there is this, there are a lot of these Kamath families who below poverty line, and we recently a bunch of companies who are doing well. We came together and gave away like 3,000 to 5,000 rupees a family through one of the NGOs in Kerala. This entire tribal belt, so we're giving away some cash there. We're giving away some cash to auto rickshaw drivers in Bangalore who've lost their living. So uh, yeah, so I think results we'll have to just wait and watch. So right now we've allocated a portion of whatever is allocated that we've carved out for this COVID-19 issues, and then we are kind of using it and experimenting it. I think like what is result for us is if there is a way to do this at scale and know that there is no leakage of sorts, as no one is gaming the system. If someone can come through that, I don't see why we would not allocate a lot more towards this.
Nithin, as you've mentioned, right, you have a community of sort of affluent friends and family who are giving back. How have you approached this as a collective in that sense? Like, how do you build a sort of collective action? Because we've noticed that philanthropy is often motivated by the individual, right? Their worldview and how they approach the problem and how they think they can help also. Have you tried doing, how have you built sort of consensus with other actors in this effort?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to take credit for this. I'm more, I'm not really leading this, so I'm more following it. So I'm finding people who are leading this because, I mean, like I said, right, the last 2 3 months have been, for us as a business has been extremely tough. The markets are extremely volatile. I have spent 16, 17 hours a day at work, on work. So there is no bandwidth to actually go sit down and build consensus, get people in, etc. So the way we are doing is, I'm meeting a lot of people, I'm talking to a lot of people, and whoever is making sense, we are saying, okay, we'll support you and see how it goes. So, and then, like one of the reasons we are talking about it, is because I know that a lot of my friends who are doing well in life are sitting on the edge, and they don't know how to go forward, right? And so when I do something, they suddenly ping me or they message me and say, "Dude, is this good? Can I do?" And I say, "Yeah, why not?" So, right. So it's just, uh, yeah. So because I know that by me talking about it, I'm enabling a bunch of these guys to also jump in. We come out and talk about it, but otherwise, I'm a follower. I'm just following people who are doing the right things.
So we've been doing this webinar series for 2 weeks now, and we've had a bunch of people come in and talk about different aspects of this, whether it's migrant labor, whether it's the effect on the economy, whether it's about other communities who are on the edge. One common theme that has emerged in all these conversations is that this problem will not be solved by CSR.
Right.
This is not a CSR problem.
Right.
What we're seeing is much deeper, and what we're seeing is also possibly years of neglect coming out as, let's say, rotten elements of our existence. You already spoke about how you've enabled sustainability within your ecosystem and how it's your constant endeavor to build in sustainability into your business, not just for yourself, but for everyone else. What is your view on this being a collective problem post-corona? And how do you think, if you were to imagine Zerodha as one of the leading players post-corona in doing something, how would Zerodha enable it? What is your thinking behind all of this?
No, I mean, like this is something that gives me sleepless nights. I don't really think I have an answer yet, right? But I know that we want to make a difference, and that's why it's just not me. The core team within our business, my younger brother Kailash, I mean, all of us, we're all thinking, saying, what can we do, being the stalwart in our industry, kind of lead from the front. Uh, so until now, whatever we've done isn't. I mean, I wouldn't take credit saying we've done something extraordinary. So yes, we have allocated significant amount of money for the size of our business, but I mean that isn't really just giving away money isn't really the thing here, right? Um, so like personally for me, like the more I think about it, I think the real way to solve this today is through direct cash transfers, and how do you leverage technology, or like how do you? The only problem in India, right, is that just people, like everyone's trying to game the system, right? It's just so hard. As in, like every day, like as a business itself, right? As in so many phishing websites, so many. It's just traps, like landmine everywhere around you. So even if you want to do good, you just you just keep walking into traps. So yeah. So I mean, I think for us right now, it's been like the way we're thinking is we want to find 3 4 good NGOs, and who are doing it right, and who are thinking of this as at scale. Who are not who are thinking of this as a business. I mean, like when you come to me and talk to me about Zerodha, you ask me, Nithin, what's your ambition? I want to be the largest. I mean, we are the largest broker in the world in India. I want to be one of the largest in the world, right? We want, when you speak to someone like in our NGO, I think what we're looking for is someone who comes and says, dude, this is the kind of impact that I'll create, right? No, I'm not going to do JP Nagar in Bangalore, right? As in, this is not my worldview. We are trying to say, we will build this way of the system that can maybe work for the entire country. Someone who's actually ambitious about it. So yeah, so I mean, and because we are doing okay as a business, uh, I think in the post-corona world, I don't think there are too many businesses that are going to be doing okay, right? And the uh, so the ones who are doing okay should, I think, stand up and kind of lead from the front, right? As in, if my business wasn't doing well, how can I allocate funds and kind of go partner these NGOs or give away, etc. Right? And so I know a lot of my friends who run a lot of really popular startups. They've gone into a shell because they've seen the revenue go from X, Y, Z to zero. Over the last 2 3 months. Right. So everyone's now thinking on how to extend their runway as a business. I don't think anyone's going to be doing any giving away for a while. So yeah. So that's when I keep talking to people. Businesses that are doing okay, and I'm saying at least trying to seed the idea that the guys who are doing okay should kind of stand up and do it right now. And I think like there needs to be like one of those Uber WhatsApp kind of moments for this. Like someone has to find a solution that can work for India. Right? I don't think what has worked for some other country is going to work for our country, right? And I think I think it has to be some like a startup kind of a culture, right? You come experiment, you try out new things, and once it's ready to scale, maybe go to the government and see if something can be done together, right? But you need to experiment, you need to try as many different things as possible and find that one way of giving away and helping others which can scale. And the way we are looking at right now is that we want to bankroll those experiments and see if who's who can build something that can scale.
So Nithin, this the government machinery for direct cash transfer is jammed, right? Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, and mobile, and it's
Right.
still proving to be a leaky system.
Right.
Do you think there's an opportunity for young entrepreneurs to somehow tap into, say, Rainmatter, right?
Right.
And build out a parallel service delivery mechanism for this? Is that something that you'd be
Absolutely.
interested in looking or supporting?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's exactly how. I mean, I think a solution has to be something like that. As in a better way of of doing it than what the government's doing it today. So we would absolutely love if a startup came in and pitched the idea. We would, and if they had the skill set, we would definitely bankroll someone like that.
So, thank you for saying that you want to stand up and be seen as doing something, because right now, even a little bit of hope and even a little bit of solidarity is going, is going to go a long way. Um, Often philanthropists and people who give money um, have a lens of giving money out of emotion.
Right.
What tugs the heart is what gets money.
Right.
That may or may not necessarily lead to large scale change,
Right.
but at least solves the immediate um, trigger, so to give. What is your view on this? Would you follow the more tug at heart approach, or would you try and see whether something can have a catalytic effect? I also want to sort of add to this that currently what you're seeing is pretty much immediate need. There is
Right.
nothing catalytic that you can do right now.
Right.
So, what's your overall take on this, given the short term environment and also the long term need to continuously engage with society beyond your business?
Right. I mean, like I said, right, this whole pre-corona world, the focus was climate change, right? And kind of, how you can build this forest. I mean, when I said climate change, there was also, can you somehow combine, uh, you know, agriculture and, create jobs and all of that. All of that was there, and can you do it at scale, right? So it was solving for climate change and solving for employment, and then also it was about involving your customers. The thing is, like every time someone honks on the road, right, in my head I'm like, dude, this guy, someone has to tell him that honking is not right, right? As in, that conscience isn't there in the country, right? And one of the things I always keep thinking of is that, is there a way we can trigger this collective, kind of conscience? And could it be, what, like for a while, we had this wild idea of, can you turn all terraces into gardens, right? And every guy, every house which has a garden on the terrace, give him like a card or something, uh, like so yeah, so like with this whole corona thing has changed the entire dynamics in the way we were thinking about all of this. So yeah, so for now, like you said, right, I think the immediate need is you just have to, uh, you know, if people are in need of money, you need to find a way to give them money, So, and whoever can do it better, I think we need to kind of help those people do it that way. And but once we are through this, say the next 3 to 6 months, I think. Uh, I don't know if you can keep giving away money for too long. I mean, I don't even know how the world will, how that world will evolve. Because if people have money and nothing else to do, what happens to society? And I mean, that's another problem to solve for, right? So yeah, I mean, we're still early in this. We're still thinking through all of this, but nothing concrete as such.
At this point, I also want to tell our viewers that they can put in their questions in the comments box in whichever platform they are on, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, and we'd be happy to put them to Nithin. Nithin, like you said, one of the things that everyone has to do is to step up, right? And many of them are on the fringes right now, still thinking about who to give to, how to give, whether it's ration, whether it's medicine, whether they should support doctors. There are many, many needs at the moment. And every day that we speak, we hear of many communities who are in need. How would you advise other people who have the resources but are still thinking? How would you advise them to go about this, let's say in a stepwise manner? If there was a checklist they could follow, what could that checklist look like?
No, I mean, the thing is, I think it's different for businesses who are doing it at scale, and I think it's different for individuals, right? As in, if you're an individual, um, I think you just have to take the leap of faith and find an organization and just give them the money, right? But as a business, I think you get an option to experiment and test out people. It doesn't give away little bits of money, see how well they make use of it, and how you get to know, as soon as you give away a little money, you get to know if the person, the NGO is doing the right thing or not. And I don't know really. I mean, I think it's a very gut-based, instinctive kind of decision. I don't know if there's a process to saying who is the right, how do you select the right person. With me, what I realized is it's been very instinctive. So, I mean, we've met people, we have spoken to them on the phone, we have given some money, and if based on how you feel about them and how responsive they are, the results they're showing, you kind of deploy more.
So Nithin, COVID-19 is a multi-year problem, right? It's not going to go away for at least 18 to 24 months. How do you sort of sustain yourself, personally and as a company when it comes to your philanthropy? Because we've noticed that when the problem is immediate, there's a visceral response to give, and you immediately sort of, the purse strings open and you give it.
Right.
But this problem probably will need a top up, right? 6 months from now, or a top up 12 months from now. What are your thoughts on managing this response over the couple of years it will take?
Yeah, no, the thing is, the way we have thought about it is allocating a certain portion of our revenues for this, for that. And I hope 18 to 24. I think this is probably going to last longer, right? I think the best case outcome is probably 18 months, So, right, and the post-COVID world is different. The problems, like I said, right, I think this whole creating jobs in this country is going to be extremely tough, and so yeah. So the way, I'm not really looking at a absolute number. I mean, for us to be giving away, we need to be making money as a business, right? So I mean, there are like 3,000 families within, like I said, directly, indirectly, who rely on the business to feed them. So yeah. So the way we are looking at it is taking a portion of the revenues, much more than whatever your mandatory CSR allocation is required to be, and keep experimenting it, and whichever a successful experiment, keep topping it up, keep helping them more.
So we've been in a lockdown for the last 1+ month, and the April GST numbers are just out, which is 70,000 crore before normal. Some estimates say that we've lost pretty much 60x multiple of future earnings, if given the existing life expectancy of an average human being in India. Given the number of people who've died, we've paid a huge cost already, without even them reaching the hospitals, right? So clearly the livelihood cost has had a multiplier effect on the GDP already. Do you think businesses are heading for rocky shores of completely different kind? And what do you think will be the human impact of this on businesses?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, unfortunately, in my job, I'm forced to be bullish, right? Because people come, use us as a platform to invest into stocks, invest in other companies. But personally, I think, I'm extremely pessimistic about the next couple of years, because I think the India was already kind of trending, it was not really trending up as a country, and we were already having our own troubles, right? And I think this whole thing can easily push us over the edge, where it takes a long time to recover and come back to normal. So I think, of course, there is no doubt that businesses will have to make drastic changes to adapt. And the problem with most businesses is, when there is trouble, the first thing they look at is letting go of people. Right? I've seen businesses, take the decision of letting go of people even before letting go of buildings. You know what I mean? So it's like, before you, kind of say, I want to close this building, you have already let go of people 6 months before that. So which I mean, you can't really blame the promoters if you're not making money as a business. You take the easy decisions first, and letting go of people is generally the easier decision. So I think, like I said, I think personally for me, I think the more I look around, uh, like India, in India, the problem is automation is going to kill a lot of jobs, right? And I mean, of course, one is this whole COVID situation. If business is not doing well, they're going to let go of people, but even generally automation in itself is going to create a lot of job losses. So yeah, so I'm uh, like the human impact. I can't even imagine. I think it's I don't even know what is the right. I don't even know if it's right for me to be sounding so pessimistic, uh, but I don't know. As in, I think the world. It's very tough to imagine how this the planet. I mean, our country is gonna change directions, how the world is going to evolve in this post-corona situation. So I don't know if I'm saying a lot of sensible things, but
So, Nithin, in this context, do you think it makes sense for the government to sunset subsidies and just invest everything into direct cash transfers? Because even the government doesn't seem to have the money, right? We had Jayati Ghosh, a renowned economist, come on our show, and she talked about monetized deficit, right? We should just be printing a lot more bills and making sure that the money hits the most vulnerable groups.
right.
Do you have a stand on that? Like, what do you think like the institution needs to do to support not only businesses like yourself but also the community at large?
Well, I mean, see, the thing is, like I said, our government is in itself, having its own issues. But personally, I think this whole direct cash transfer is the real solution. I mean, there is, I don't really, uh, I mean, if we have to print money, I think we have to do it. This is the time you have to throw all the firepower in it, right? Because if you don't do it now, you'll eventually, anyways, have to do it. And it might be a little
Too
uh,
late.
too late. So it's yeah, but I think it's a very political kind of a debate. So it's tough to take a stance.
So there are a few questions that are coming up from the audience. Rahul Nanwal from Cash Relief has a question for you. He says one of the questions is to figure out in cash transfer what is the best, lump sum transfers or monthly transfers like basic income. What is your thought on this?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, see, the thing is, the problem is the trust factor here, right? As in, so that whole lump sum in your head, you're like, are you getting misused, right? As in, so I think what will be comfortable for the person giving it also will be a monthly transfer, right? Because it'll be very tough to go find people who are okay to give away lump sums. Just because, as I said, just because of the trust factor. If someone were to come to me and say, Nithin, these are 100 families, let's give them like 25,000 rupees as a lump sum, it's going to help them. And if someone can come prove to me that these are the 100 families who will do it, and I'd be game, right? But the problem is, as soon as that happens, you're like, suddenly you question, is there a middleman who is taking away? All of those questions come into play, right? So only for that reason, I think it's better to do monthly. And I think businesses like us would also prefer and support monthly kind of cash transfers versus a lump sum.
A follow-up question to that by the same audience member is that do you have any plans on research on cash transfers? A strong control group and treatment group study can really position cash transfers as the go-to thing to do to help the poor.
Right. Well, I mean, so all the places where we are deploying right now, partnering with, I mean, these are all experiments. So, I mean, there are people who are sitting and trying to figure what's the right way to do this. But yeah, but if there's someone who's got ideas, I mean, they can write to me. I'm on Nithin at Zerodha. We have a core team, the CSR team, which we are working closely on this. So, we're very, very happy to speak to them.
The next question is from a user who doesn't want to be named. We all want government to spend a lot to address the immediate distress, and we can find the money later. Should large foundations or even you do the same now, even if it means giving less later is better?
Right. Yeah, no. I kind of like I said, we whatever we were planning to give away over the next 1.5 years, and as part of our CS, I mean, we are actually we have stood up and said we're going to do it in the next 2-3 months because it's required to be done now. There's no point. I mean, there is a point to do it later as well, but I think right now is when the most help is needed by everyone. So yeah, so I don't think there's a time to say that I will do it over the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I mean, if you can do what you plan to do over the next 5 years in the next 3 months, I think that's going to help the country a lot more. So yeah, so I think it has to be done immediately. So and yeah, we are game for that. We've already, like I said, as a business, we are already allocating whatever we have planned for the next 16, 18 months to be done in the next 1-2 months.
So Nithin, what you're facing also is an allocation problem, right? Like right now you've allocated a chunk of money to this immediate sort of need that's emergent and that has come up. While by your own admission, climate change has taken a little bit of a backseat. But climate change is so much important, right? Over the long term, 2030, the SDGs were aiming towards reducing that because it's a really a species risk, so to say, right? A nat cat event. So how do you balance this, right? How do you balance your long-term philanthropic objectives with something immediate? Because otherwise you have this risk, right, of immediately just serving the immediate needs and the long term just goes out of the window.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a tricky situation. It's like the way. The thing is, firstly, right, we as a business right now, we're still not large enough to kind of have really long term goals for this. Right? I mean, because a lot of what will happen, how much we'll give away, will also have to do with how we will do as a business over the next many years. Which is, you know, in this volatile world, I don't even know what will be happening next year to us as a business, right? So I'm not really looking at really long term goals here. So I mean, the way we are planning it is 2 to 3 years. Like that is long term. I mean, once you're a large, if you're a really large public limited company with a large amount of cash in the bank, I mean, then you can really think long term, right? So right now, the way we're doing it is we're thinking, what is that we can do in the next 2-3 years with the cash flows that I can predict for the next 2-3 years as a business. So, and then I guess we just have to play along and then keep increasing, keep doing more as we become bigger as a business.
So, you told that you have sleepless nights thinking about what's just happening. But is there anything from a business lens or even from, let's say, what's happening around the country that gives you positivity and that you feel are areas that we should explore? Given that you're also looking at solving problems at scale, is there things that you feel that you can think about or invest your energies in the next 6 months, so to say?
No, I think it's firstly all the migrant. So I think, one of the problems I think is that our cities were choked, right? I think we were just, we're just crowding up our cities, and it was bound to break at some point of time. Like once the lockdown happened, a lot of our people from our company are working from their towns, Belgaum, Shumaga, Hassan, and they're actually being more productive than what they were, back working here. And now, one of the things, like the way I'm thinking of is that if these guys can stay back in their small towns, say small cities, and if those economies can kind of revive, and you don't end up choking cities for everything. So and somehow this incident over the last 2-3 months seems to have enabled a condition like that, right? Where people can actually go work remotely and kind of revive economies in the small towns, cities, villages, etc. Right? So potentially, there is, and it's not just me. When I speak to a lot of my friends, they're like, if he's productive sitting from his home, in a small town, I mean, why does he have to be in Bangalore, you know, and doing this? And in the small town, if he's making whatever money, he's gonna help 15 other families around him sustain in some form. Uh, so I think that is one of the silver linings in all of this, saying maybe businesses will find a way to, because it's good for the business. It's lower running costs for us as a business. We don't have to worry about the infra as much. It's good for the employee because he's working from a small city, the lower running costs, and he's generally being more productive as well, right? So yeah, I think this can somehow evolve into something that can work well for the country, which is because in the city, one person earning doesn't really mean anything much, right? But in a small village, one guy earning can potentially somehow end up creating uh, so many more dependents on him in some form or the other.
So Nithin, what can we do to team up or help Zerodha? Like, how can we sort of further your mission and help you to achieve more social outcomes?
No, I mean, like I said, I think like I've explained till now, is in so our goal is to find ways to create maximum impact, and we don't mind experimenting, right? As in, there is no there's no set rule for us. I mean, one of the reasons we've done well as a business is we've had absolute freedom to do what we want, right? And we've experimented on all random things, and the more we've experimented, the more we realize the business has gotten better, right? And then when you keep experimenting, you come across something that works, right? And so any idea, if anyone who's got any idea which can create impact, we would be very happy to support it. So I guess that's the best way to do it.
And I will ask one final question before we close for the day. How are you keeping your own spirits alive? How do you keep yourself motivated given all the gloom and doom around?
Yeah, no, it's been, like I said, right, added to all of this as a business, we've we've had this whole volatility to kind of manage. The last 2 months, stock markets has done what generally happens in 2 years. So it's all like in a fast forward kind of a move. So yeah, so with all this gloom and doom and this volatility, it's been tough. I mean, like it took me like 10 days to get used to this work from home situation, etc. And my first 10 days were quite tough. But yeah, but I've generally made some changes personally around me. Like I stopped binging on food. So all this trying to stay healthy. Trying to get some workouts and read, watch positive stuff. So there is no horror movies. There is no you know so just because otherwise I think you're kind of in the edge with all this gloom and doom, and then it just reading and watching something else just adds to it. I stopped reading newspapers, right? I after a long time in my life, I don't even look at newspapers because just you're not gaining anything reading it. You just feel negative at the end of it. So I was like, why even bother? Maybe like I was telling one of my friends that you should create a news website with a negative filter. Take away all negative news. Just you know, just let people read positive news. So yeah. So but it's been challenging, no doubts about it. But I guess what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So to survive this.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us, Nithin, and for this freewheeling conversation and all that you're doing. I'm sure many people who've seen you will write to you, and some more will be inspired by seeing what you're doing to do their bit to help people in the short run. Thank you so much, Martha, for joining us and for translating in sign language. Thank you, Signable. And thank you to all the viewers for being with us and listening patiently and for all your questions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.